Hello, I am Reverend Irene Smith, and I'd like to welcome you to Generationally Speaking. Here at the table, we come and we discuss life issues, no matter what they might be. As we sit at the table with each generation, we all learn, we all grow, we all are inspired.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Generationally Speaking. Well, as we look at social media and you think about trauma, I wonder, from your perspective, do you think our children and others continue to be embroiled in trauma, not even realizing from watching videos of where black and brown are intersecting with police officers and these deadly experiences, or these group fights, or all this other stuff? So what can we do from a parental perspective, church and otherwise, to help our children to navigate that path?
I think the first thing is to really recognize that trauma is a real biological experience. Our nervous systems are altered when we see things that overwhelm our capacity to cope. And that includes seeing violence that is lethal, directed towards someone we love, someone who looks like us, in some way we identify it with it. And so we begin to feel less safe. And so I want to make sure we understand that trauma is real. It's not a mental imagination, it's a biological reaction. And so I think it is important for us to limit the visuals that we encounter. The challenge is we also want people to be informed, and we also want people to fight when we need to fight. And so helping to guide our children with that, I think sometimes it's better to talk about what happened than to view what happened. It's not impossible to not see. And sometimes I think that parents are overwhelmed, and I get it. My children are now 21 and 25, and so I get that feeling of I can't protect them from anything, but we can protect more than we imagine. And so I urge parents to put limits on what their children see, to come to them to talk about things and not just leave them to find out on their own. Parents are so much more powerful than they think, and our greatest power is normalization. What do we normalize? And so I think that that's really, really critical.
So hearing their conversation and then understanding it's their feelings. And and accepting that, and then helping them to move forward.
Right, and in order to help children to handle their emotions in a healthy way, we have to handle our emotions in a healthy way. I think the greatest gift we can give children is our healing. So I want all the moms to rush into therapy. I want all the dads to rush into therapy. I want us to be reflective about the lessons that we got about emotion, how we were sometimes taught, oh, nothing, that didn't hurt anything but your feelings. I don't know if anybody recognizes that line, but we were taught to kind of put that to the side. So review the lessons you learned about emotion. Were they good for you? Is there healing that you need? Because if I don't, let me say it this way, the way that I treat the child within me is the way I'll treat the child in front of me. And so when I don't want to care for the child within me that is wounded, when I don't go back for her, when I don't go back for him, when I don't validate him or her in how they felt emotionally, then that child in front of me will receive the same treatment. And I want to do better for my children. And so take good care of your heart and the child within you, and it'll be reflected in how you handle the child in front of you.
Thank you.
So good. Thanks. We have Rising with Christian podcast.
Hi.
Christian,
Good to see
Irene.
you.
Good to see you, Dr. Phillips. Thank you so much for your new book, and congratulations, The Garden Within. I have a saying that not everything that blossoms is meant to be in your garden. How do you determine the boundaries of a good thing and a God thing for your garden?
Oh, I love that question. A weed is just a plant growing where it shouldn't be. And so when we are experiencing thoughts that are undermining our progress, undermining us making our way to where we want to be, those thoughts usually can be identified as weeds. And so those are things we want to pull. But the question is, what emotional space is it growing from? Fear is a valid human emotion, but it can get out of bounds in ways that limit us. And so if that plant is being nurtured by fear or anxiety or prevention focus, and some of us don't like to say fear, anything that has us trying to limit ourselves, that we should double check that. And a lot of us live in prevention focused mode. And so it's difficult to know when it's wisdom and when it's actually holding us back. Start to trust the soil, which includes your body. Again, I want us to trust more the incredible sacred design of our biology. And we have been taught to overstep it. And how many times do we look back and say, if I had trusted this. Trust the soil. And when we trust the soil, we nurture the soil, what grows is good things. And I hope that easily translates. More trust in this.
Then we tell you a little bit about her. She is an information security professional with more than 16 years of experience in information security, governance, and risk management. She is passionate about improving communication and creating a better understanding of information security in the industry. She is also an active speaker and college professor and enjoys educating technical staff on communicating effectively in the information technology space, and she has a lot of certifications. Everything cybersecurity, great expert. Thank you, Tamika, for joining us today. Let's start first by talking about, at the International Leadership Summit, what do you really hope someone attending your session can learn from you? What can attendees get out of it?
Sure. So I want to create a culture of awareness for starters, right? Because a lot of people just don't really understand what cybersecurity is and the importance of cybersecurity. So in my session, I'm going to give some basic background information about some of the threats that are out there in cybersecurity, and then I'm going to provide just 12 basic cybersecurity best practices that churches and organizations can put into place to protect themselves from some of the cyber criminals that are out there.
That's perfect. We'll do a first question from Forbes magazine. This is Yolanda.
No, he's going to do it.
Oh, great. Jeremy, great. Please,
Well,
Jeremy.
just so you know, I'm a computer scientist.
Don't get too technical.
I'm not.
Alana. Right.
I just wanted her to know that I'm there, right,
Great.
with you. So I asked Yolanda, I wanted to ask you this question because I do deal with creative entrepreneurs every day, and protecting their intellectual property online is like high priority. So in your profession, I'm an architect, right, a systems architect and designer of platforms. And so I wanted to ask you, how do you go about training a creative entrepreneur that's just started, that's spilling intellectual property all over the internet and being insecure? How do you go about addressing that issue?
Absolutely. So I think what I would do is, again, creating that culture of awareness, right? Helping them understand the threats that are out there, right? Because that's the problem. Like, a lot of people don't really understand what the threats are. And then once you understand the threats, then you do an assessment, right? To determine, hey, what kind of information do I need to protect? And then once you understand that, then you figure out a way to understand how to protect it. So that's what controls do I need to put in place to protect that intellectual property. So that's the biggest thing. It's really, cybersecurity is a lot. Once you have the basics in place, it's a lot about risk management, right? And understanding what risks are out there and what you can do to remediate any risks that are present in the environment.
Just one last question.
Sure.
So with CGI and deepfake and all of these type of, ChatGPT, AI, all these different technologies and all the risk that comes with, we have a very bad problem with human trafficking, right? Mm-hmm. So when you're using deepfake and ChatGPT and things of these nature, how would you go about telling parents how to protect their children online from CGI, deepfakes, and all these type of, tools? I call them tools, but
Right. So I would say to make sure that, again, being aware, right, and understanding the threats that are out there. And then once parents understand those threats, because that's a part of the problem, right? They don't really know what they don't know, and that's the issue that we all have in cybersecurity. But once you get a better understanding of the threats that are out there, you need to educate your children and make sure that they know what sites to go to and what sites not to go to. What things that are what's out there that kind of pose risk to them surfing online. So one of the things I tell my daughter is to always, be very leery of just going to any site and putting your information in sites, right? So things like GPT, people are putting personal information in those sites. They're putting pictures in those sites. So you really never know who's on the back end, who's seeing that information. So in order to protect your personal information, you have to be very careful about who and how you share it out online. So that's the biggest thing, don't give your information out. You can surf, but you don't want to click on things, and you don't want to give your information out.
Okay. Back from the Black woman with Nikki Pochette.
Hi, how are you? So my question is, we're here talking about how to be disruptive in the community, right? And especially as a Black woman business owner, a Black woman in the tech space, Black woman in tech. How are you seeing other Black women being disruptive, and how are you being disruptive in this space that's not typically for us?
So I'm being disruptive because I am sharing information. I'm involved in a lot of organizations that support Black women trying to get into cyber. I'm also a mentor to a lot of women that want to become cybersecurity professionals. I do speaking engagements like this all the time because I want to be out there, and I want people to have that general awareness of what cybersecurity is and how they can protect themselves. So I'm communicating. I'm letting people know this is what it is, and this is something that you have to think about. I said it yesterday. The worst thing you can do is to do nothing or just pretend like this won't happen to you, because it will. It's just, what are you going to do? How are you going to be prepared to respond in the event of a cyber attack or your personal data is compromised?
Grammy-nominated recording artist,
Wow.
songwriter, and producer who is celebrating his 20th year being signed with Motown Records. Kem recently released his memoir, published by Simon & Schuster, co-written by David Ritz, entitled Share My Life, A Journey of Love, Faith, and Redemption. He has also just released his first live album entitled Anniversary. The live album recorded at the renowned Aretha Franklin Amphitheater in Detroit.
That's
Great.
All right.
That's easy.
No, please,
First question for you, we have EUR Web with Yolanda.
Hi, Kim. It's a pleasure to meet you today. Being a part of this conference, as a singer, songwriter, and producer, you're an entrepreneur in a sense as well, correct?
Yes.
What lessons have you gained from being here at this conference?
I think one of the biggest benefits of being here is that it's an opportunity to serve. It's an opportunity to serve, and Bishop Jakes has been integral to my journey, both my entrepreneurial journey and my spiritual journey. So it's just really an honor to be here. The takeaway for me is that the best is yet to come, that you never stop learning, you never stop growing, you never know how opportunities are going to show up. You think you're showing up to do one thing, and then there's some other things that take place. It's not about that, it's actually about this, the small conversations, the opportunity to bless people who are in line, who are gathering and having a word, having a conversation. People have come into my life over the years and have spoken just the smallest, and it may have been an insignificant thing to them, but it helped inform and change the trajectory of my life, So this is powerful. My presence here is powerful for me, and I hope that I was able to add value and inspiration to all those who came my way.
Can I ask one more?
One more.
What impact would you like to see happen when everyone, with all the attendees, when they leave this conference? What impact would you like to see them carry over into their lives or business by attending this conference?
All the experiences that we have in life, they make us better. There is no panacea. There's not one pill you can take, one book you can read, one sermon you can hear that can inform the whole of your life. This is only part of it, And so for this season of your life, the season of the attendees' lives. I hope that they got the daily bread that they need today. Give us this day our daily bread, that they got what they needed today to help them move to the next, and then move to the next, and then move to the next. Yeah.
Thank you. The Now Network with Irene Smith.
First of all, I just want to say congratulations, and you are indeed a role model. You may not want to be one, but you are. You have proven to be an exemplary example of what it means to face life challenges, to overcome them, and you talked about redemption and perseverance. And so my question to you is, as I listen to your music, is any of that included, that passion in what you produced for us?
The music is informed
Yeah,
by my testimony.
yeah,
The music is informed by the triumph and the tragedy
Yeah.
of my life. The music is informed by that. There would be no chemistry, no love
Yeah.
calls without all of those other things. There would be no chemistry, no love calls without the failed relationships, the addiction, fighting with homelessness and coming through those
Yeah.
things. We come through our darkness, right? And the darkness is really fertilizer for the soil of our lives, right? There's fruit to be born from all of that. If we get through it and learn what we need to learn and do the things that we need to do, So yeah, that's what the music is. That's all the music is.
yeah.
That's all it is. Right? Thank you for your question.
It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
Caitlin Dallas, bloggers.
So just piggybacking off of what she shared about entrepreneurship, yesterday Bishop shared with us 3 key things for growing your business, which was impact, scale, and growth.
Yeah.
Do you have any 3 words that you would like to share for your entrepreneur?
3 words. Work. Do the work. When I started, the word entrepreneur was not in my lexicon. I didn't have a 5-year business plan. I didn't know what a spreadsheet was. I didn't know what a profit and loss report. I didn't know. I didn't have that language. I just kept doing the next right thing, and move with intention and be willing to learn and surround myself and try to surround myself with good people and people who were smarter than I was. Just do the work. Show up. Say, you ask God to move the mountain, bring a shovel. Just do the work.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Latasha Gillespie. She is the executive head of Global Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility for Amazon Studios, Prime Video, and IMDb. Under her leadership, Amazon Studios created the entertainment industry's first inclusion policy and playbook, standardized DEIA into Prime's green lighting process, leading the streamer to showcase a greater percentage of women and underrepresented film directors. She has also created the Howard Entertainment Program, the first of its kind partnership between a major studio and a historically black college and university. And she's helped Amazon join the HBCU Partnership Challenge. She's a celebrated speaker, as you know, host, moderator of both national and international stages, with organic relationships with talent, content creators, and other influential public figures. Please welcome Latasha Gillespie. So we're going to set up first, Latasha, with a question about the International Leadership Summit. So would you mind telling us, what do you hope attendees really get and take away from this conference?
This conference is so rich for both business leaders and for faith-based leaders that I think you can walk away with practical tools around how do you manage a personal brand, how do you manage your organization's brand, how do you understand how to lead with empathy, right, across differences, also, how to have impact and scale. And I think it's not often that you can have an environment like this where people, where the sacred and the secular come together. Because at the end, we're all one. We're one community. Because I know a lot of business leaders like me also are people of faith. And so it's nice when we can combine those things and come here and get real, tangible tools that are going to help us be better leaders in our homes and our businesses and in our communities.
That's great. Thank you. So first question, we'll do Irene Smith with the Now Network.
Hi. first of all, I want to say, as an inclusion officer,
Yes, ma'am.
first of all, being on the outside and looking in,
Yes.
and now on the inside looking out.
Yeah.
And you talk about having women and underrepresented minorities. Other than opportunity, what other skill set might be missing for them that would help to open the door even the more?
You know what's so interesting, Ms. Irene, and I actually want to thank you because now you've all invited me to do things with you in the past, so I've always enjoyed your organization, so thank you. What I found, honestly, is that most of the time it's not even a skill set deficit, it's access and exposure.
Okay.
Right? And I'll give you an example. My Howard Entertainment program, which I launched in 2020, which brings Howard University students that are in their junior year in television and film, fine arts, PR, marketing, into a 2-semester program where they have an academic side where they're learning from their professors and also our executives. And then the 2nd semester where they're actually working in television and film. We're grooming them to be the next generation of studio executives. And here's what I know. When there's equity, so when we've leveled the playing field, so my kids in my program, we pay their tuition, we pay their housing, they get stipends to live, but they also get a salary for the work that they do. When you level the playing field and take those other fears and concerns off their plate, they show up and show out. And so it's about how do we approach this work with equity so that we understand everybody has a different starting point, and how do we get people to at least a closer starting point so that all they have to do is show up and do the work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, that's good.
Okay.
Great, Monica Ware.
Hey, Monica, I love your
BU Girl Magazine.
Yes.
BU Girl Magazine. We just met in Atlanta for Black Women in Film. So
It was such a lovely event.
it was. We had a
Yes.
great conversation. So
Yes,
nice to see you
thank
again.
you.
My question is, you talked about the partnership with the HBCU
Yes,
in
ma'am.
Howard. So what are you doing, or is Amazon ever doing anything for preteens, teenagers?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so we have a couple programs in the works now. And in preteen, I can't say that they're that young, but we have a program right now with LFI, the Latino Film Institute, where we're working with young people that are younger than college age. They're high school students, so that we're working with them. We also just did a huge partnership with the Roybal School in LA. So again, younger students in that high school age, where we're also helping them find that there's so many kids in LA in the backyard of Hollywood, but have no idea of how to get in the business.
Right.
That shouldn't be so.
Right.
Right? And so it's on us, the onus is on us to create those pathways of entry and to give them exposure to those career opportunities, and then arm them with the skill sets that they need to be successful in them. So that's some of the work we're doing at the earlier stage, at the high school stage. Sometimes age requirements on set and stuff like that make it a challenge, right? You have to be 18 or older on a lot of things, but we're finding our way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I have one more question?
Yeah, please.
So I'm publishing my current issue for girls, where there are a lot of teenagers and even preteens who are committing suicide.
Yes.
What encouragement or inspiration would you give to girls today to just help them to keep going?
Listen, I'm acutely aware of the challenges our young people are dealing with right now, and I'm really saddened by a lot of the mental health challenges that our babies are facing, and not having the resources, or their parents not having the resources to understand how to help them. And these young girls, I wish I could just tell them that, I remember being a girl. The funny thing is, I used to say I didn't want to have daughters. I have 2 sons because it was so hard being a girl growing up. It was so hard being a black girl growing up that I didn't want my child to have to face some of that. So when girls, and it's also our young men too, my heart breaks for the challenges that they have, and it's different. Like with the pandemic and everything, we didn't go through what these kids are going through today. Right. And I think it behooves all of us as adults to make sure that we are keenly aware of what's going on, that we're sensitive, that we don't try to force, our way of thinking on them, but we hear their hearts and we be there for them. For those young girls, I was just saying, hold on, the best is yet to come. Your future is so bright if you just hold on. And I know today is hard, but if you just get up tomorrow and just keep getting up tomorrow, I promise you it will get better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
HBCU Magazine.
Hi.
Dr. Nikki Ziegler.
I had a big smile when I heard all this. And first of all, I love you. I thank you so much for what you do for us. Right? So my question to you, what would, walking through Howard, what school?
I didn't go to Howard, but Howard University is where we have the program, yes.
Right. So what will you tell a girl right now that's in HBCU? What inspiration can you give her to keep pushing as well?
Listen, She has everything that she needs to be everything she needs to be. She has everything she needs to be everything she needs to be. Everything that today she sees as a deficit, everything today that she sees as an obstacle and challenge is preparation for the next thing. God has purpose and destiny for her life. And if she just understands that all of this is preparing her for something, all of this is a part of her journey, that she's going to be not only an asset, but a vessel for others. And because I know how Black girls operate, when we solve a problem, we don't just solve it for us, we solve it so no one else has to deal with it, right? So I look at Stacey Abrams and the work that she does. She doesn't just fix it because of what happened to her, but she fixes it so no one else has to deal with that. And that's how we operate in the world. So I would tell these young women, they are so incredible. I love their energy. I love their impatience. I love their strong-headedness. I love their determination. And it doesn't matter how many people try to quiet that down or tell them no. All they need is one yes. Keep going. You only need one yes.
Wow. Now, what will you tell yourself?
Listen, if I could go back and tell my younger self, girl, to not be so risk averse, right? I understood my generation, Gen X, that there were people who died for me to be able to sit in the seats I get to occupy. And I was also, so I didn't want to disappoint, you know, my parents, grandparents, people who had sacrificed. But I was also very keenly aware that the door was still narrow and I was trying to hold it open for the young women coming behind me. So you don't want to rock the boat because you don't want it to have an adverse impact on them. But no one wins by playing it safe. We can't play not to lose. We have to play to win. And so sometimes that means stepping out of your comfort zone, taking more risk, and just jumping and knowing God will catch you.
Thank you so much.
Get that fabulous pose like. Yeah.
Let's grab it right quick. 1, 2, 3. One more.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you so much.
1, 3. 1, 2. One more. 1. Gotcha.
Thank you, and again, you are a role model.
Thank you, guys.
Love you.
Thank you. Thank you.